Now, there's something strange in my neighbourhood, but who am I going to call? Something weird. It doesn't look good, but who am I going to call? If you've got any ideas, let me know. Yes, in December of 1984, a film came out here in the UK, which was already out in the US. There had been teaser adverts in the newspapers. There's a little logo with a caption, something along the lines of "It's coming." What was it? I was 12. Guess maybe it probably hit our shores in 85, early 85. This, I think, is a single. I'm hiding what it is. It was the first piece of, in the least bit, film-related music that I ever owned. I think my parents let me buy it. I was 12. Ray Parker Jr. Ghostbusters. There was a novelisation of the film by Larry Milne with a little section of coloured stills from the film in the middle of it. Oh look, there's a Slimer, and there's Dana on the top, and Lewis on the top of the building, and the library ghost, and Zool, and so on and so forth. My mum was working in the cinema at the time, so there was all sorts of bits and bobs. This was a promotional, you can see there it says the official poster magazine. Came out at the same time, 75p. Sorry, they've got a kind of article about the film there, and some stills from the film, and a list of credits, and a little competition where you could win. What could you win? The album. You could win the soundtrack album. And then in the middle of it was a big old poster with the terror dog on the top of the building. And something most of you won't have seen, because this was internal to cinemas, is this exhibitor's campaign book. Not much of a book really, it was just a 4-page black and white printout, but for Disney films these were often quite lavish. On the back it's got all the contact details for all the marketing materials people. It's got the sort of things that you could get for marketing, that you could do for tie-ins with the local newspaper. A colouring competition, a maze, a spot the ghosts competition, and some stickers. I had these stickers here. They got a bunch of those, and I had those. So on the inside it tells you all the cast and crew credits there, and shots of all the adverts that you could use in the local newspaper when you were showing the film. So that's all of those for the different size adverts that you could run. And there was the merchandise that you could get. You could get the single, which is that. or you could get the soundtrack album, which there is on Arista Records vinyl, but I got it on CD, Arista Records CD. Or you could get the novelisation, which was that. So this was about all the stuff that if you were exhibiting the film, all the tie-ins and things that you could run and merchandise that you could get to go with it. So yeah, there was a soundtrack album at the time, and it had got a bunch of songs. Obviously, the Ray Parker Jr. Theme song, Clean Up the Town by the Bus Boys, Alessi, Thompson Twins, Air Supply, Laura Branigan, and so on and so forth. And then 2 tracks of Bernstein's score, Dana's theme, and the instrumental version of the Ghostbusters theme music. I got this in a local shop called MVC for £9. But I didn't get it at the time, I don't think. I think I got that much later. In terms of actual releases of Elmer Bernstein's score, there was a Varese release many years later. I saw it in my local Outprice, no, probably HMV by that time, and I thought, won't get that quite yet. I'll get that later, and then it all sold out, and never saw it again. Till the age of the internet, of course, and then you go online and you look for it, and people were asking silly money for it. So I was glad when Sony did a release. So that was the Sony score album from 2019. Then, of course, fast forward from 1984 to 89. There was the sequel, Ghostbusters 2. Guess who's coming to save the world again? This time the novelisation was not by Larry Milne, but by Ed Nair. And this time the film stills section in the middle was not colour anymore, it was only black and white. And the film was okay, but it wasn't a classic like the first one was. Soundtrack album for that? Well, again, at the time, it was just a songs album. I got it on cassette. This time, there was none of the score on the album at all. Who were the songs by this time? Bobby Brown. Well, there's a version of the Ghostbusters theme again. There's Love is a Cannibal by Elton John. Oh, it's Glenn Frey. He was of the Eagles. Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew. Bobby, yeah, new edition. But there was, of course, Flesh and Blood by Oingo Boingo, the band that featured Danny Elfman. Wonder what happened to him. But that's all there was at the time. Many, many years later, this 2021, we finally got in the same style as that one, because it was also Sony classical, Randy Edelman's score. Really nice to have that after such a long wait, but you gotta admit it's not as good a score as that one. It's nice, but it's not iconic. In between times, there was that, the reboot, controversial film because a certain subset of the internet were very dead set against it just because it had got a female cast and were saying, oh, this is going to be rubbish. As it turned out, it was a bit rubbish, but it wasn't the female cast's fault. It was the director and the writer's fault. It just was. But, you know, that wasn't the reason why. Yeah, anyway. Theodore Shapiro. The people on Score the Podcast tell me it should be pronounced Theodore Shapiro. I'm not entirely sure whether to believe them or whether they're having me on. But that was pleasant enough score. So, you know, nice soundtrack. And then in 2021, Ghostbusters Afterlife, which kind of ignored that and referred back to that. And this one, score album. Yeah, see, at least both of these have got straight away proper score albums. Rob Simonson. There is a lot of callback to Elmer Bernstein's original themes in this one. But Simonson's new stuff is nice as well. So, that's an awful lot of ghosts being busted. I ain't afraid of no ghosts. Now, who was I going to call again? Can't remember.